guys, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. My name is Ali and today I'm telling you about some things that I love. Firstly, I'm going to start with the fact that I finally saw Love, Simon. I went with a few friends the other night and it completely lived up to the hype. It was so beautiful. The soundtrack was just amazing. I cried so many times. Even just thinking about like what it means or would have meant or will mean to so many kids and teenagers that will see it and haven't really had that representation until now, or at least not in this kind of story. It's one of those movies that I'm just really glad exists, and if you haven't seen it yet, go and see it. It's fantastic. It's funny, it's sad, it's relatable, and I think it's just one of those movies that we need more of. And in terms of TV shows this month, I have fallen in love with the TV show Rise. It's a show made by NBC. So it has Alii Carvalho, I think that's how you say her name, the girl that voiced Moana, and it's just the most talented girl. It's always great when shows actually cast teenagers rather than only like 30-year-olds to play high schoolers, because when actual teenagers watch this show and compare themselves, they're thinking like, why don't I look like that? It's because they have gone through puberty 10 years ago. So the show is about a high school somewhere in America, and this teacher that kind of takes over the theater department decides to shake things up. I'm not doing a good job of selling this. It's just these kids coming together, loving theater and learning how to be themselves. Someone online wrote a quick few dot points of why Rise is better than Glee, and I completely agree. They said it has Spring Awakening, obviously, fantastic musical, actual teens playing teen characters, way more honest and real, not a musical show, but a show about a musical production, if that makes sense. So they're not like singing out of context for no reason. They only sing within the show when it's appropriate. It has a non-binary actor playing a trans character, it has Hamilton, and it has a gritty aesthetic. Just at the point that, you know, our world is in right now, I think everyone needs a little bit more theatre. I think even if you just watch the pilot, you will fall in love with it as much as I have. Also, a few months ago, my friend Ducko recommended me the show Greek. It's about kids living on Greek Row at a college in America in Ohio, and just all the things that happen in the sororities and the fraternities, and it's just so new to me and so interesting and foreign because obviously we don't have any of that here. I'm just learning all about Panhellenic and all the traditions, and it's just really cool. If you liked One Tree Hill or Gossip Girl, I think you would love this show. If you have watched it, by the way, please tell me like what you think. I'm currently almost finished season 3, so I'm getting to the end of it, and you know, just being torn between Cappy and Evan, and it's just so much fun. So one of the coolest things that I have to show you guys, my best friend got me a moon lamp. I can't figure out how to charge it at the moment, but I will put a video in here of what it looks like, and I just love it. I think it's the most beautiful thing ever. It's an exact replica of the moon. It has 2 different settings, so sort of like a warm and a cooler tone. I love setting that up when I'm journaling at night, just like trying to relax, having some tea. It's just so beautiful to look at, and they're really inexpensive, so I'll link them down below if you would like to get one for yourself. In terms of books, basically every night for the past 5 years or so, I've just been listening to the Harry Potter audiobooks. I just kind of go through them and then finish them and then start them again. And last night I finished The Deathly Hallows, so I'm either going to start again or take a recommendation from you guys if you have one. If I ever get sponsored by Audible, that will be the happiest day of my life. Just know that now. If I ever get to work with them, I will be over the moon, because I literally listen to audiobooks every single night. In terms of physical books I've been reading, so far in the past few months, I read Turia Pitt's book, which is called Unmasked, I believe. I think it's her second book, and it was phenomenal. One of the best books I've ever read. It was very confronting at times and very graphic and descriptive, but I think it was very important that it was, and it was just so beautifully written and inspiring and empowering, and I cannot recommend that enough. I also read Lauren Graham's book Talking as Fast as I Can, which is sort of an autobiography / diary entries from the period she was filming Gilmore Girls, and kind of annotations of that. So if you watched Gilmore Girls and liked it, then you will definitely love that book. I'm also reading Hardwearing Happiness, and I have been reading this for months, but it's the kind of thing that I pick up and then put down. It's non-fiction, so I can just come back to it anytime really. It's sort of about learning that you can change your brain. You can train your neurons to fire for positive things rather than negative things. So it's about, you know, undoing thought processes. But I would say the underlying message of this book is that the way you think is not necessarily the truth, and that you can change that, you can train it. So it's everything that I love. And the thing that always makes me happy when I pick it up is you can kind of see how it's kind of damaged, and that's because one day when I was in New York last year and I was caught in a downpour of rain, everything I had on me got ruined, and it was just an awful day and everything seemed to be going wrong. But then that was the day I ended up meeting Ben Platt, and so this damaged book reminds me that no matter how bad things seem to be going, a miracle can still happen. I have one beauty favorite this month, and it is the Kat Von D ink liner. So it looks like this. I used to use the Tartist, I believe it was called, and then it ran out, and it has two ends to it, a liquid end and like a crayon-y end, which I don't use, so I wanted to replace it with another nice vegan one, and everyone on Instagram recommended this to me, so thank you guys. If you want something really waterproof, this does the job. It's vegan, it's cruelty-free, and I love it. In terms of podcasts, this month I've been listening to quite a few new ones, so I loved Armchair Expert, which is Dax Shepard's podcast, especially the episode where he interviews Ashton Kutcher. I thought that was really, really insightful, just kind of hearing a lot about what goes on in the industry, and it was just really, really cool hearing kind of their history together, and I don't know, I just really liked that. And then also Stuff You Should Know, which my best friend recommended to me. Yesterday I listened to the Rosa Parks episode. I was just sort of cleaning the house and walking around and listening to this, and it was amazing. Like, as someone that has always been quite interested in that time in history, you know, it wasn't all new information, but it was just presented in a really interesting way. Yeah, it just sparked like a really cool conversation with my mum. I was speaking to her on the phone about it, and she was reminding me of a time just before I was born, I believe, and she went to visit Alabama and went to all of these sites that they talk about in the podcast, and she spoke to a man that knew Rosa Parks. And I think everyone kind of has a time in history that fascinates them or interests them a lot, whether that's like one of the world wars or anything, and I just have always found the civil rights movement something that I'm interested in. And I visited a lot of those historical sites in the States growing up as a kid, but I was either 9 or 12 and couldn't really appreciate as much, so I really, really want to get back to a lot of those places. Anyway, I'm getting really, really off track, but this podcast is amazing. Every episode is on a different topic, so there's so much to listen to, so much to learn about. So much to do, so much to see. In terms of life favorites, there's something that I've been looking forward to and so excited about for a really long time, but haven't really been able to speak to you guys about it yet. But now that the press release is out, I can share it with you. So a lot of you will remember last year, about 6 months ago, I came home from the States and I worked at a workshop called Girls Who Glow. So I was one of the speakers that they had, and Girls Who Glow is basically an event for young girls aged 13 to 17, basically helping to inspire and empower them to become their best, healthiest, happiest selves. And it involved a bunch of different speakers from all different fields, and I got to be one of those. I was very, very lucky to be invited. And basically we are going on tour. So Girls Who Glow is going on tour, and I've been somehow lucky enough to be invited again. I'm genuinely like peeing my pants with excitement about this, and a little bit nervous because I'm still not really used to public speaking, but everything we talk about is something that I'm so passionate about. Like, it's everything I wish I had when I was a teenager and everything I want teenage girls to know now. So I'm so excited. We're visiting Sydney, Canberra, Wagga Wagga, and Adelaide. So if you live in any of those places, I'll leave a link down below that you can get tickets. Please come along. It's gonna be so much fun. The last time I did it, it was one of the highlights of my life, getting to meet a bunch of you guys and talk to you and like learn about your lives, and just, it was the most inspiring day. If you can make it, come along. I would love to meet you, and I would love to talk to you and hug you and hear your story. This is one of those things that I'd always dreamed of doing, but it never really existed, so I couldn't put that dream into words, and now it's happening. I mean, if we're talking life updates, I might as well just tell you guys now, because I'm sure you'll know soon enough, but I am of course going back to camp this year. I just hadn't really spoken about it in a while, but going to get my visa on Wednesday. So I officially got approved for my visa this morning. The scariest thing about going to the consulate is that when you leave, they like hold onto your passport and they process it and then they mail it to you. It's just the most terrifying thing, the thought of my passport being in someone else's hands and like getting delivered to my house. Like, what if it gets stolen or lost? When I have that back, then I will be excited and ready. I'm so excited. Literally every day I think about this. Nothing in the world makes me happier. So you know that saying, like, if you can't go a day without thinking about something, you should follow it? That's me. I just, every time I talk to my camp friends or have a dream about camp or wear my camp clothes, I'm the happiest version of myself. So see you in about 2 or 3 months. Now for music. In the past week specifically, I've been listening to a lot of Shawn Mendes. I gotta ask that you got plans tonight. I'm a couple 100 miles from Japan and I can't get you off my mind, can't get you off my mind. And while we're talking about excellent boys in the world of pop, an old favorite has come back around and I'm so proud of him. I was a wreck when you came along, when there was nothing left. You showed me the best, don't know just why you do, but I know I'm better with you. I can't talk about March favorites and not mention this because I think it is the most favorite of March, and that is the song Found Tonight that Ben Platt and Lin-Manuel Miranda released, with proceeds going to March for Our Lives. It was just probably the best, most iconic musical collaboration of all time. Sorry to Kanye, Rihanna and Paul McCartney, got nothing on this. The way they changed these lyrics to relate to everything that's been going on in the world and everything that these kids are fighting for. I know I keep using the word beautiful, but it is. It's what it is. It's powerful. It's moving. If you haven't heard it yet, give it a listen.
We may not yet have reached our glory, but I will gladly join the fight. And when our children tell their story, they'll tell the story of tonight.
All of these amazing Disney icons from the early 2000s are just back. Finally, and most importantly, I need to talk about something. Today is the 4-year anniversary of the best album of all time ever created. Obviously, I'm talking about MKTO's self-titled 2014 album. It has withstood the test of time, my friends. If you've got some tea there, pour one out for these bad boys.
We are the ones you left behind. Don't tell us how to live our lives. 10 million strong, we're breaking all the rules. Thank you for nothing, 'cause there's nothing left to lose.
Alright guys, well that about wraps it up. Please comment below and tell me what you've been loving this month or for the past 2 months, or even just right now. Like, what is your favorite song? What book have you read that's really great, or what's a quote that really resonated with you? Just tell me, you know, what you're loving right now. What are you digging?
This ain't the same summer song that you used to know, 'cause Jack left out.